Testing, testing, testing.
right. Good morning. Welcome to the Public Service Commission's administrative meeting for April 3rd, 2024. Our first item is to approve the minutes of our meeting of March 27th, 2024. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barbe.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. At the outset, we'll be deferring item 4 to a future administrative meeting. There are 2 items on today's consent agenda. Item number 1 is an application from Lower E-Bill LLC for a license to supply electricity. And item number 2 is a notice from Shenandoah Cable Television LLC of participation in certain financing arrangements.
Okay, so regarding item 1, I move that we grant the company a license to operate as an electricity supplier in Maryland, limited to broker services for the customer classes and service territories applied for and recommended by staff, and direct the company to file notice with the commission within 30 days of any changes to the information in the application. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barbe.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. Regarding item 2, I move that we note the company's new financing. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barbe.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Item number 3 on the administrative agenda is a request for a CPCN waiver from the Potomac Edison Company.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Christopher Lowe on behalf of staff. On February 2nd, 2024, Potomac Edison filed a request with the Commission for a waiver of the CPCN requirement as set forth in the PUA Section 7-207B4I. The request is needed to replace an aging switching equipment and associated structures on the Albright to Cross School AFA 130 kV line outside of the Mount Zion substation in Garrett County, Maryland. PUA Section 7-207 requires the electric company to obtain a CPCN prior to commencing construction of an overhead transmission line that is designed to carry a voltage in excess of 69 kV. It further states that the Commission shall waive the CPCN requirement should it find that construction does not require the company to obtain new property or rights-of-way through eminent domain, or require larger or higher structures to accommodate increased voltage or larger conductors. The proposed project will allow Potomac Edison to remove and replace the aging switching equipment that was installed back in 1978, and the new replacement switch will improve efficiency and reliability on the line. As part of the project, the company will also replace 2 existing structures to accommodate the new replacement switch. The company states that the voltage and conductor will remain unchanged, and all work will be performed on the property owned by Potomac Edison. And the construction will begin in August 2024 and last about 4.5 months, and no customer will be impacted during the construction. Staff concludes that the statutory requirement under PUA Section 7-207B4I for obtaining a waiver of a CPCN requirement is satisfied. And PPRP also filed a letter on April 1st, 2024, and it does not oppose the waiver request. Staff recommends that the Commission grant the company request for a waiver of a CPCN requirement under PUA Section 7-207B4I to replace the aging switching equipment and the 2 associated structures on the existing Albright to Cross School AFA 138 kV line outside of the Mount Zion substation. Thank you.
Any questions for staff? Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Joey Chan on behalf of Potomac Edison, and it's good to be here this morning. Joining me today is Travis Turner, one of our engineers from the company. I want to thank staff for its presentation, analysis, and recommendation. There really isn't much that I really need to add to staff's presentation. I would just like to say that for the purposes of this switch replacement, it really is a maintenance-driven project. We're talking about a piece of equipment that was installed in 1978. It's 46 years old. There are disadvantages to the manual hand cranking aspect of that switch. And it has been identified for replacement at this particular time with, essentially better technology that will allow the system to be, to add to reliability and functionality of where it is. The pole replacements, the structural replacements are attendant to, and because the the company really cannot afford to take an outage and does not want to displace customers from service. We are constructing a temporary bypass line, the same voltage, the other aspects and characteristics of the line and the structures are the same, and it will only be in place for the duration of construction, which we envision will go to about 4.5, maybe 5 months. Of course, if the construction is completed earlier than that, then the temporary line would come down. So I'm happy to answer whatever questions that you may have.
Any questions for the company? Well, actually, one for me. Do you have all the equipment in hand to replace what's now obsolete? I guess the reason the question is because of the events of last week, and are you expecting something to come that may be delayed because of what happened with the bridge?
Right. So I'm going to defer to Mr. Turner if he would be able to shed some light into it. I believe we do, but
All right.
but he could probably comment on that.
Sure.
Good morning. Travis Turner with First Energy, employed as an engineer. To answer your question, we do keep certain switches that we install on the line in inventory. So we would have inventory to replace that if need to be.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for anybody? All right. With that, I move that we grant the company's request for a waiver of the CPCN requirement under Public Utility Article 7-207B4I to replace aging switching equipment and 2 associated structures on the existing Albright Cross School AFA 138 kV line outside the Mount Zion substation. Commissioner Sushman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barbe.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Mr. Chair, item number 5 is a request from Egypt Road Solar LLC to extend construction and operational deadlines.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. DeAndre Wilson on behalf of staff. On February 16th, 2024, Egypt Road Solar, a 51.1 megawatt solar photovoltaic power generating facility in the city of Cambridge, located in Dorchester County, Maryland, filed its second request for extension of the applicable construction and operational deadlines imposed by PPRP's condition number 3 of attachment A to the CPCN granted by the Commission in case number 9434. Pursuant to the original CPCN conditions, the Egypt Solar project was to commence construction by April 27th of 2021 and begin operations by April 27th of 2022. On January 20th, 2021, at the request of the company, the Commission, for good cause, granted Egypt Road Solar a 3-year extension of the construction and operational deadlines, such that the project was required to commence construction by April 27th of 2024 and begin operations by April 27th of 2025. The company is now requesting a 4-month extension of the amended construction and operational deadlines due to delays resulting from supply chain issues, permitting issues, and the inability of the project's construction schedule to meet DPL or Delmarva's most recent planned outage window. If granted, the project will be required to commence construction by September 30th of 2024 and begin operation by September 30th of 2025. The reason for the company's first request was because it was unable to meet its construction and operational deadlines due to substantial delays in PJM interconnection studies and review process, which prevented Egypt Road Solar from receiving the facility study for the project as scheduled, and therefore the company could not enter into final interconnection and construction agreements as required by the conditions of the CPCN. After considering the matter at the January 2021 administrative meeting, The commission granted Egypt Road Solar's request for an extension of the deadlines outlined within its approved CPCN subject to the filing requirements and conditions proposed by PPRP. After having to acquire fee simple title ownership of both the utility switchyard as opposed to an easement or shared ownership of access as required by Delmarva, which require an additional 8 to 10 months and cause additional delays in the performance of the interconnection studies and project management schedule. The company has finally received its site plan approval for the project on March 5th of 2024 and was currently awaiting approval of the substation site, which was on April 2nd, 2024, by the Cambridge Planning and Zoning Division. If approved by the commission, the project is planned for commercial operational start date of July 18th of 2025. Based on staff's review, through no fault of their own, Egypt Road Solar has been unable to finalize all the necessary agreements to move forward with the completion of the project, and therefore staff supports a 4-month extension of the construction and operational deadline. Staff also continues to support the conditions set by PPRP requiring Egypt Road Solar to submit its final project site plan and interconnection route for the agency's review prior to the start of construction, which will allow PPRP to propose any revised conditions for approval. Staff recommends the commission grant the company's request for a 4-month extension of the construction and operational deadlines for a good cause, such that the construction shall commence by September 30th, 2024, and begin operations by September 30th, 2025, subject to the review and approval by the commission of any new requirements and conditions proposed by PPRP.
So, any questions for staff? Actually, before we turn to the applicant, the PPRP is fine with this?
Yes, Chair Hoover, as we filed yesterday, a letter indicating that we had no opposition to this.
Okay. So,
Thank you, Chair Hoover, Commissioners. David Bugelmans, excuse me, on behalf of Egypt Road Solar LLC. I'm also joined this morning by Mr. Kevin Clark, who's a project developer at Urban Grid, the owner and developer of this project. We have nothing to add to staff's presentation. I will say with respect to PPRP's recommendation from the last extension and this extension, the project has worked on the submission for the final site plan. That is imminent. We are going to submit that to PPRP for final review prior to construction of the project. Other than that, we're here to answer any questions, and we appreciate your consideration this morning.
So, any questions for the permitting authorities you're dealing with? Is it Dorchester County and Cambridge, or just Cambridge?
I believe it is mostly Cambridge, Mr. Clark. Would you like to? Just the city of Cambridge.
Okay. And they're processing things in due course?
They are processing things in due course. It has taken time, but I wouldn't say it's an intentional delay or anything like that. It's just working through their process.
Okay, fair enough. Alrighty, so with that, I move that we grant the company's request for a 4-month extension in the construction and operational deadlines outlined within its approved CPCN, such that the company shall commence construction by September 30, 2024, and begin operations by September 30, 2025, subject to the review and approval of the commission of any new requirements and conditions proposed by PPRP. Commissioner Sussman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye.
Mr. Chair, item number 6 is a request from the Potomac Edison Company for the further extension of the operational deadline for its Town Hill Energy Storage pilot project.
Good morning once again, Chair and Commissioners. DeAndre Wilson here on behalf of staff. In December of 2023, the developer of Potomac Edison's Town Hill pilot project notified the company that it had to revise the project's construction schedule due to unforeseen problems with the defective equipment, at which time Potomac Edison filed its third petition for extension of the operational deadline for the pilot project on January 10th of 2024. After the company's developer began to perform a root cause analysis and formulate a corrective action plan, further equipment testing revealed that the corrective action did not satisfactorily address the equipment issue, and the developer was forced to return the equipment to its vendor so that it could re-implement corrections. As a result, Potomac Edison filed a supplement to its petition on January 18th of 2024 to request an interim tolling of the February 1st, 2024 operational deadline for a period of 45 days in order to allow for its developer to solidify a feasible operational start date for the project. The Commission approved the company's request at a January 31st, 2024 administrative meeting with a 60-day tolling period in lieu of the requested 45-day tolling period to allow Potomac Edison and its developer to develop a corrective action plan, propose a new operational deadline for the project, and to allow staff time to review the company's updated filing prior to its consideration before the Commission. Since the approval of its request for a 60-day tolling of the operational deadlines for the project, PE's developer has engaged with an energy storage independent engineering expert to perform an assessment and evaluation of the project. On a conference call with Potomac Edison, the developer, Office of People's Counsel, and staff, PE and the developer confirmed that all costs and expenses associated with the continued delay of the project will be directly borne by the developer and its vendor and will not impact the overall cost of the project. Therefore, the project's benefit cost ratio still stands at 0.33 and will not be impacted due to further delays. PE's March 8, 2024 filing serves as an update to the company's progress and an additional request for an extension of the previously approved tolling period of the operational deadline for the project, which expired on April 2nd of 2024, for an additional 90-day period in order to allow the independent engineering expert to assess the root cause of the problem and help provide a definitive operational deadline for the project. In light of Clean Energy Associates report entitled Benefit of Battery Energy System Storage Quality Risk, a summary of the most common battery energy storage system manufacturing defects, in which it was found that system-level defects in nearly 50% of the 320 factory quality audits it performed of more than 52 Tier 1 battery energy storage system cell manufacturers, 30% involved the enclosure manufacturing process. Staff supports the company's request for further tolling of the operational deadline for an extended evaluation of the battery energy storage systems project during the commissioning phase by a third-party engineering expert to assess the defects found in the equipment, provide solutions, and help determine a corrective action plan and project management schedule that results in a definitive operational deadline for the project. Potomac Edison and the developer has agreed to provide the Commission with the corrective action plan, updated project management schedule, and updated operational start date within 90 days, in addition to OPC's recommended conditions for Commission approval. Staff still considers Potomac Edison's Town Hill pilot project to be in the public interest, as the project still provides grid benefits to the company's Town Hill circuit, benefits to ratepayers, and helps meet the state's policies goals. Therefore, pursuant to Public Utilities Article 7-216 H62, staff recommends the Commission approve PE's request to toll the operational deadline of its Town Hill pilot project for good cause for an additional 90-day period. Staff would like to note that OPC filed comments in regards to this filing, and staff is available for any questions.
So, any questions for staff? Commissioner Schlesman.
Morning, Mr. Wilson. you have to prepare a report that's going to go to the General Assembly July 1st.
That's correct.
The filing that was made by OPC focuses on the information that you have available that needs to go into the report, and they're sort of recommending that we ask for additional information from PE so that can help you to prepare for the report that is going to look at lessons learned and the progress that was made so far for the pilot program. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I understand that there's a spreadsheet that the companies are going to be filing with you on May 1st. And that's going to identify on, at least in bullet points, the delays that each of the companies experienced, but in particular PE experienced. Is that correct? So I'm asking you if that May 1st filing gives you enough information for you to be able to prepare the July 1st report, or would you benefit from additional information, like, for example, a narrative, as opposed to just a spreadsheet? Would that help you in doing the things that you need to do to prepare a report?
We would definitely benefit from a narrative being
Okay.
filed along with the spreadsheet.
Okay, and I'm assuming, I mean, we're now considering the issue in terms of PE, but I'm assuming that a narrative would be very helpful if you received it from the other utilities as well.
Yes, we would benefit from the commission ensuring that the utilities provide us with that information. The spreadsheets, which we've modified and circulated amongst the utilities, and the additional data that's requested in J. To some extent, some of the data overlaps with that spreadsheet,
Okay.
but there's also additional data listed under section 7.2-6J, 216J, which isn't necessarily directly specified on that spreadsheet. So we would definitely like an additional narrative to accompany that spreadsheet that definitely talks about these items under 7-216J.
Okay, so, Mr. Chair, I recognize that we have only before us PE, so would staff be asking us to issue an order to the other utilities to ask them to provide this information with their spreadsheet on May 1st? Is Mr. Dean?
Well, if the commission wishes to assist us in this, it would be helpful if you want to direct them to do that.
Okay. I guess the question is staff asking us to issue the order?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Just to ensure that everyone is on the same page.
Right.
I understand. Any other questions of staff?
Just following up, if I may, Mr. Chairman, on Commissioner Suchman's, I guess up to this point, my presumption was the staff did already have the authority to request of the companies the information you need for this report. Are you saying today that you feel like you may not have that complete authority and discretion to get from the companies what you need for this pilot report?
Staff believes it does have the authority. But based on staff's comments to the last annual metric filings by the utilities, that was filed by Mr. John Bukowski. It showed that there was information that we needed that was not provided, and so we had to follow up with additional questions or additional requests to get that information. Being that we're up against a time clock, I think we would benefit from having the commission to specify that data, that information be provided by May 1st so that we can definitely ensure us meeting the deadline for July 1st.
Okay, no, I definitely appreciate the colloquy that you had with Commissioner Suchman, and it has always been my expectation and assumption that the pilot did give the staff and this commission that authority, and there is an expectation from the that the utilities will provide the information that's needed in this report, and it probably should be reflected in the report if the utilities are not providing the information that I think the legislature expected to be provided. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anybody? So one question, is it primarily the engineering department that's going to provide this report, or is there other entities on the technical staff that are going to be writing this report?
There are other entities that are going to assist, such as Energy Analysis, who will be evaluating the value streams that are metrics which they created and added to the metrics reporting template. So we're definitely looking for assistance from other departments.
So actually, let's start with OPC. So.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Molly Woods for the Office of People's Counsel. As Commissioner Suchman raised, you have our comments. We support staff's recommendation to approve the Potomac Edison's request here, subject to the two conditions that are outlined in our comments. PE and Convergent, the developer of the project, have indicated that they're willing and able to comply with both conditions. So I won't go into them in detail here, but one, we're asking that the company make its next filing within 60 days to ensure that all parties and the commission in regards to the upcoming interim report have plenty of time to evaluate and seek additional information. And two, that the company include as part of that filing lessons learned from the ongoing delays and an accounting of all costs associated with the delays. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions.
Oh, Commissioner.
Okay, good morning, Ms. Woods. So that I'm clear on the timing of all of these filings. So I had asked staff about the May 1st filing, so that's less than 30 days. And so at least some of the narrative that we talked about in terms of lessons learned will be submitted in that. So that's less than the 90 days or the 60 days. So I guess the question is, what else would need to be submitted within that additional 60-day period that won't be covered by the narrative that hopefully will be directing that is filed with staff on May 1st?
Sure, thank you. And we would definitely support more information is better from our view. So support that coming in by the May 1st filing as well. I think probably the one piece that's not specifically maybe tied to a narrative is an accounting of costs associated with the delay. That I think that's an important learning piece for the pilot, and certainly the commission could direct the companies to include that in the narrative or in the data as well, but I'm not sure that it's clearly accounted for in the existing data that's to be submitted.
Okay, and Mr. Wilson, is that information that would be helpful for you and is not available to you now in the information that's being provided by the utilities, the additional costs?
Yes, staff does not take an issue with.
Well, but not take an issue. Is that information that actually would be useful in your preparing the July 1st report?
Yes.
Okay, so if we were to include the costs, the additional costs in the May 1st narrative, would that take care of the concerns that you have? So we wouldn't have to then also direct a filing within 60 days, because all of that would be subsumed in the filing on May 1st.
I think, yes, in terms of the additional information, we would still request that the company they will need to make a filing formally requesting an extension to a specific date. Right now, they're just requesting a further tolling of the deadline for 90 days. We would still like to see them file their corrective action plan and the extension date that they're suggesting within 60 days, so that there is still some time for discovery if there are additional questions based on that.
Okay, and then I think you said earlier that OPC would be supportive of getting this information not just from PE, but from the other utilities that are engaged in pilot programs.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for OPC? All right, so let's hear from the company.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Daniel Garcia. I'm with Potomac Edison, and we agree with the comments that were made by both staff and OPC. We appreciate their diligence in working with us throughout this process, and we have a representative here from Convergent to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
So, any questions? So you've heard this discussion regarding staff and OPC. Is the company, and I know you can't speak for the industry, but is PE able to provide the information that we've been discussing that will go into this July 1 report?
Yes, the company would be able to provide that information. I believe we provided a lessons learned report back in November of 2023. So we will revise that report with up-to-date information, and I think it would provide everybody a good snapshot of where things have been progressing and what kind of lessons have been learned.
Okay, so back to staff. So the report has to be filed July 1. So working backward, when do you need the information in order to be able to analyze it and draft the report? I mean, the thought's this. I mean, our idea is to issue an order for all the affected companies, requiring them to file the requested information by a certain date to hopefully avoid the situation where you ask for stuff through data requests that, you know, might have been included in the initial filing. So that's why I'm sort of trying to ask you to think about, you know, what date you want in there.
May 1st
Okay.
is probably the date. We probably want to have an opportunity for it to go through the process within the commission of review for at least a week or two prior to the July 1st date. So anything May 1st or... One second.
Sure.
So, staff would ask for the information to be provided by April 26th, between April 26th and May 1st.
So run that by me again.
So that would be within the next 4 weeks. So April 26th, or at the latest, April 29th.
Okay, I guess the only thing I'm a little mystified about is, I mean, the 29th is, what, like 3 days before May 1st? I mean, is there that big a, is it going to provide you enough benefit that we require this information by the April date as opposed to the May 1 date?
May 1st is fine.
Okay, all right. So, all right, let me do two things. One, I make a motion that we approve the company's request to toll the operational deadline of the its Town Hill pilot project for good cause for a period of 90 days pursuant to Public Utility Article 7-20, or 7-216H6II, and that the company file the information requested in OPC's filing regarding the lessons learned and the cost information as specified in their letter. Commissioner Sussman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Wait, just to, one second, Mr. Chair, just to be clear, and that information would be filed on May 1st.
Yes.
Okay, aye.
Commissioner Barve. Aye. Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. And we are going to issue a written order that will apply to the other utilities. It'll be redundant in your case, but requesting the same information and with the same date, May 1st. So.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, item number 7 is the revised 2024 standard offer service bid plan of the Potomac Electric Power Company.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Drew McAuliffe on behalf of staff. On April 8th, 2024, Potomac Electric Power Company filed its revised standard offer service bid plan for the April 8th, 2024 SOS auction. This revision is necessary because the potential start date of the Montgomery County CCA has been moved back to on or after October 1st, 2026. PEPCO's original bid plan included a 20-month SOS residential and Type 1 contract to accommodate the start date of the Montgomery County CCA. However, because of the deferral of the CCA start date, PEPCO has filed a revised bid plan to include a typical 24-month contract because the contract period would no longer be affected by the CCA start date. Staff does not anticipate this change will have any adverse impacts on the April 8th SOS bidding process, and staff recommends that the Commission accept the revision to PEPCO's SOS bid plan. And I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Any questions?
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. Taylor Beck. I'm here on behalf of Potomac Electric Power Company. Just wanted to say thank you to staff for their evaluation and that we accept their recommendation and are available for any questions.
So any questions for PEPCO? So I guess this is a question for either side. I take it Montgomery County is aware of this and they're fine with it. And so same situation with Prince George's County?
So Montgomery County notified the PIP work group that they, were pushing back their start date. So I believe the PIP work group leader recommended that PEPCO make this filing just to clear everything up.
Sure.
If I might add, this actually doesn't really affect the counties in either way. All it does is ensure that the SOS bid process proceeds on what would otherwise be the normal schedule.
Okay, all right. Now I'm just abundance of caution here because I remember this was a fairly hot topic when we dealt with the regulations for the pilot project. So with that, I move that we accept the revision to the company's SOS bid plan. Commissioner Sussman.
Aye.
Commissioner Barve.
Aye.
Commissioner Richard.
Aye.
I vote aye. And with that, we're adjourned.